before we jump into the regular season, we got Magomed taking on Chris Curtis in a welterweight showdown. See that Magomed is fighting out of Russia. He's on a big win streak. He's 24-5. He's going to be the younger fighter, being 29 years old. He's also going to be the taller fighter, being 6 foot 1 inches tall. See that Chris Curtis is 21-5. He's on a big win streak as well. He's 31 years old, so he's the older fighter and the shorter fighter, being 5 foot 10 inches tall. And we know that Magomed, last season he picked up that big $1 million check. So the man has the money now. He has the power, and he sure has the respect now. He holds 10 TKOs on his record, so most of his wins are by TKO. He holds 8 submission victories as well, so he's no stranger to picking up the submission. He subbed John Howard back earlier this season on PFL 1. So he subbed the UFC vet. He beat Ray Cooper. He also beat Boyan. So he's a very tough dude. His experience should be, something that's going to play a big role in this fight against Chris Curtis. We see that Chris Curtis on his record, he has mostly TKO wins at 10, but they're tied as well with decision. So most of his wins are tied at 10 apiece, TKO and decision. He's on a big win streak, coming off a big win on his debut in the PFL against Andre Filo. And this should be fireworks, this fight here. But I really got to lean towards the Russian fighter, just being more experienced, and he has a lot of hype around him. I would like to see him actually get into the UFC and start fighting some high level competition. Think that he belongs there now. So my pick is going to be Magomed, the Russian fighter, getting the job done. As we move on to the co-main event, we have women lightweight. We have Kayla Harrison taking on Morgan Fire. I got to go with Kayla Harrison right off the bat. I mean, she has a whole lot of hype around her, and she's 4-0, so she doesn't have that much experience compared to Morgan Fire. Fire's off of a loss here. She got submitted by Sarah Kaufman, and Kayla Harrison, pretty much her strong point is really her wrestling and her submission as well. She's gonna be the older fighter by 1 year, being 29. Fryer is gonna be 28. They're both 5'8". With Kayla Harrison, is coming off of a big win earlier this season over a tough fighter, pretty much the toughest competition she had in Larissa, and she pretty much took her down and controlled her the entire fight. I could kind of see Kayla Harrison doing the same thing here to Morgan Fryer. I could see if Mad Dog gets on her back, she's gonna be in trouble here. If Sarah was able to submit her, I could see Kayla doing it as well, or pretty much just controlling her the entire fight to pick up a decision. But my pick here is gonna be a no-brainer for me. I gotta go with the one and only Kayla Harrison. The hype train is real. We going with a future star here in the PFL, so we gotta go with Kayla Harrison getting it done. We move on to another lightweight showdown. We got Sarah Kaufman taking on Roberta here. Very tough fight to call, but I like Sarah Kaufman getting it done. We know she's a veteran of the sport. She's been around the game for a while. She's fought in the UFC. She's fought in Invicta. She's well more experienced than Roberta here with a record of 21-4. We see Roberta is 5-1. Sarah's gonna be the older fighter by 2 years. She's gonna be the shorter fighter by 3 inches. Roberta's 5'8". She's fighting out of Brazil. And we know Sarah Kaufman. She looked good on her debut in the PFL where she got the submission over Morgan Fryer. And she's fought in Invicta. She's fought in the UFC. So, she's fought high level women pretty much her whole career. She fought a former champ like Ronda Rousey as well. Um, but Roberta, she's a tough gal. She's fought, in the PFL where she came up and got that W, but she's fought Julia Budd, Bellator's champ over there. So she got some solid fights and some solid experience. But my pick has to be Sarah to get the job done. So yeah, Sarah is my pick. As we move on We have welterweights. We got John Howard taking on Ray Cooper. This fight got fireworks for sure written all over it. But I got to go with Ray Cooper just for the fact he's the younger fighter. He's the fresher fighter. He doesn't have that much miles on him compared to Doomsday. John Howard is a UFC vet. He's 36 years old. He's 5'7", so they're both the same height. Doomsday's coming off of a loss. He's 36, so man, he's up there in age. Ray Cooper should hold the speed advantage. Most of Ray Cooper wins are by TKO, so he got bombs in his hands. He's off of a win over Zane here. Beat Jake Shields, another UFC vet, a Strikeforce former champ. I really like Ray Cooper to get the job done here. I just think that Doomsday's just been in the game too long. He should probably be considering retirement here. Most of his wins on his record are by decision. He's a strong wrestler. Um, and most of his losses on his record are due to decision. He has a strong chin as well. He's as tough as it gets. But I just think Ray Cooper, being the younger, fresher fighter, the youth, will play a big role. So my pick is Ray Cooper to get it done. As we move on to this welterweight showdown, we got Andre Filo taking on Zane Kamaka here. Very tough fight. But I gotta go with Andre Filo getting the job done here. He's 10-2. He doesn't have that much experience compared to Zane, but he's fought in solid promotions like Bellator, so I think he has higher level competition. He's 24 years old, so he's the younger fighter, and he's 5'10", so he's gonna be shorter than Zane. Zane is 30 years old and 6'1". He's gonna hold, a nice little reach advantage going into this fight. Zane's striking is pretty much his strong point, but he wasn't really able to really, showcase that against Ray Cooper because Ray Cooper really took him down and out wrestled him that fight. He was making his debut in the PFL, so now, being able to fight his second fight here, he should be more comfortable. Most of his wins on his record are due to strikes and TKO, so his striking is pretty much his strong point. Andre Filo as well. Most of his wins on his record are by TKO. He holds 7 TKOs on his record. He lost to Chris Curtis in his last fight in the PFL, but you know he holds big wins against guys like Javier Torres in Bellator 207. He beat AJ Matthews, so he's fought solid competitors in Bellator, and that's the real reason why I gotta pick Andre to get the job done here, just for the fact he's fighting tough promotions like Bellator, so my pick is Andre. As we move on to this welterweight showdown, got Sabadu C taking on Franca. Very tough fight to call. We see Sabadu C holds a record of 8-4, so he doesn't have that much experience. To Franca, he's 32 years old, so he's gonna be the older fighter and taller fighter, being 6'3". He's usually known for his striking and his kickboxing. Franca is 28 years old and he's 6'2". He's on a big win streak. He holds a record of 20-5. See that Sabadu C, he's fighting out of Sweden. He's coming off a big win over David Machad with a quick 17-second body shot kick to the body to David, and he got the job done. Most of his wins on his record are by TKO, so he's really known for his kickboxing and striking. Franca here, most of his wins on his record are by submission and TKO, so they're tied at 9 apiece. He's on a big win streak. He holds a win over Gamazat here in the PFL earlier this season. And he also beat, Soto here, a man who's fought in the UFC where he picked up a W over a guy like Ben Saunders. So beating Soto is a big win on his record because that man is in the UFC and he's looking to make some noise in there. So that just shows that Frank is no slouch at all, man. This guy's on a big win streak for a reason. And I think he should make quick work of Sabadu C here. So my pick is going to be Franca getting the job done. I mean, he got solid striking, but if he's not comfortable on the feet with Sabadu, I think he could get this fight down to the ground possibly look for a submission here. So we move on to another welterweight showdown. We got Edison Ferreira taking on David Machado. I like Edison Ferreira to pick up the W here. I wasn't impressed with David in his last fight at all, going out on a body shot like that. I mean, he has more experience with a record of 15-5. He's 30 years old, so he's the younger fighter. He's 5'9", so he's gonna be the shorter fighter. Edison is 31 years old. He's 14-2. He's gonna be the taller fighter with a nice reach advantage as well. I think Ferreira, is another guy that's no joke here in the PFL. Definitely a guy we got to keep our eye out on. Seeing that he beat Rick Story and Boyan. He lost to Ray Cooper by TKO, but he beat Paul Bradley. He's no stranger to competing here in the PFL. Most of his wins are by TKO. He holds 6 decision victories as well. And his opponent here, David Machado, like I said, he went out his last fight by a body shot very quickly. Most of his wins on his record are by TKO. And he's no stranger here to fighting in the PFL. He's lost earlier this season, and he's fought also in LFA. He's fought in the UFC as well. He's fought guys like Diego Lima in Titan FC, so he has some solid, experience. He lost to OAM in UFC 186, so he's been to the big show, but it seems like he always choked. And I got Ferreira getting the job done here. So we move on. We got lightweights. We got women. We got Larissa taking on Bobby Joe. Very, very tough fight to call. But I got to go with the Canadian Bobby Joe. She doesn't have that much experience going into this fight, but she's a big girl being 6 foot. And, she's going to be the older fighter being 33 years old. Larissa's on a 2-fight losing streak. She just lost to Kayla Harrison. Um, it's gonna be the younger fighter being 24 years old, but yeah, I really like Bobby Joe to get the job done here. She's a very aggressive chick, and most of her wins are tied at 2 apiece with 2 TKOs and 2 decision victories. And she won earlier this season in the PFL, so she's no stranger here to competing in the PFL. She's pretty comfortable here. Larissa, 2-fight losing streak. She just lost to Kayla Harrison. Most of her wins on her record are by submission victory, so her jiu-jitsu is pretty much her strong point. But I gotta go with Bobby Joe here, getting the job done. Yeah, so we move on. We got more women lightweights. We got Fabian taking on the one and only the Machine. I like Fabian to pick up the W here. I mean, we've seen her striking, and she has a very good, clean, crisp striking. She holds a record of 1-1. She lost earlier this season in the PFL, but I think she should be able to get in the winning column, taking on the Machine here. She's 3-6. So yeah, my pick is gonna be Fabian, get the job done here. So we move on to the first fight. We got Zeferino taking on Boyan. Very tough fight to call. But I gotta go with the Brazilian Samurai picking up the W here. Um, Very tough fight to call. We know that Boyan's fought in the UFC before, and but I like Zeferino getting the job done here just for the fact he holds big wins over UFC caliber guys, tough dudes like you know the one and only Jason High. He beat Paul Bradley. Those are tough dudes. He fought John Fitch. He beat Brian Foster, and these are UFC caliber guys, and that just shows a lot about him. Most of his wins on his record by submission. He holds 16 submission victories, and he's fighting a tough dude though. Boyan here, he's fighting the UFC, and most of his wins on his record as well are by submission at 8. But he's on a 2-fight losing streak. He's no stranger to competing here in the PFL, so he built up a nice resume here in the PFL. But he lost to Jake Matthews before in the UFC, so he's been to the big show, and he picked up W's as well at the UFC. So he's over here chasing that $1 million check in the PFL. And I just think that you know, the Brazilian Samurai is just going to be the better fighter and possibly pick up a submission victory. So my pick is going to be Zeffirino getting the job done here. Thank you guys for taking a look at my picks here for PFL. Until next time, guys.